What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Real Fans Podcast. We're back after a little bit of hiatus with all the action that's going on. What we're going to do today in the next 2 weeks is recap everything that happened, as well talk about some future stuff that's going on. A little bit of Olympics today. Maybe next week or something we think about doing a little bit of Leagues Cup. I don't know how you feel about that, but I don't know. There's a lot of things to talk about and a lot of things to go over. But first off, we're going to talk about one of the biggest tournaments that just happened this past summer. We're going to go through the Copa America 2024. We're going to go team by team and give a letter grade for how we feel about how they played this tournament. And then, we'll move on. But first, before we get into that, I want to get your thoughts, just rough overview of this tournament as a whole, the 2024 Copa America USA. Take it away, Will.
Oof, man. You know what? I'm going to keep it real. Football-wise, stylistic-wise, this is kind of funny, Julian, because this was the last time that the Euros and Copa America combined to have during the same summer was 2021. But I don't know if that really counted because that was kind of like a comeback from COVID year. Two, it was just like Copa America had no fans. Euros had some fans, but it was interesting. So
it was supposed to be Euro 2020. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So the last time this happened was 2016 when they had the Copa America Centenario here, and then Euros over in France was going on at the same time. So it was awesome. It was interesting, but I have to say, though, the Copa America, the on-field issues, and I'm not talking about the game itself, were absolutely on display. Whether it was the fields, whether it was the fans. I mean, like if you want to talk about the most stereotypical, hey, listen, here on Real Fans, we don't like stereotyping people. We're not about that life. We don't do that stuff. But we're going to stereotype South America right now. That was the most South American games. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Like whether it was Chile versus Peru, and there's over freaking 5 million fouls in the game, whether it's Brazil versus Paraguay, when the players are literally about to start fucking fighting each other, whether it's Argentina versus Colombia, and fans literally cannot get in the stadium and people are sneaking in and through air ventilators. Like, I mean, dude, and Uruguay, Colombia, that's something else. Like, it was so just wild. Julian, I can't even tell you a word to describe the tournament. Myself, personally, I love that. I can't even lie. I think it brings a lot of excitement. It brings a lot of stories, a lot of headlines. It's crazy and all. But at the same time, it's not good for the game. It really hurts the game. It hurts a lot of the players. It hurts a lot of the fans. And it's one of those that, yes, it can bring a lot of headlines and drag a lot of big stories. But at the end of the day, it's not going to help improve our game by any means.
Yeah. So for me, I don't know if it's a hot take at all. I don't really think it is. I would say it is probably the worst tournament I've ever watched in my life. And I've seen plenty of Copa Americas, and I think, honestly, a lot of people probably agree with me. This is one of the worst Copa Americas in a while. It was awful on so many levels. The pitches being too small and also shitty because they're laying grass on top of turf. The reffing, bro. I watch a lot of MLS, and I thought MLS reffing is bad. Holy shit. It was so bad. I'm convinced there was like some rigging going on, like genuinely. And it felt like no team really had any sort of advantage of like, it just depended on the game. And it almost felt like whichever rich guy had whoever on like the spread was who the ref was going to pick. Because like, I don't think any teams paid the refs. I think these are just rich people just betting, hoping to get. Obviously, Drake wasn't invited, but like,
right. Yeah.
But I mean, talking about blatant missed calls, like being the extreme inconsistency of like letting people be physical and then letting people not be physical, and it was just horrid. A lot of these games were horrid football being played to where honestly. And I don't know which commentator said it, but it was, and I agree with them. The first time I felt like I was actually watching high level football was the beginning half of that Colombia-Uruguay game. That was the first time like watching where I'm like, okay, it's not a fucking fist fight going on. Like, it's actually ball being played. Yeah. And honestly, it's kind of embarrassing in a way because it's like, all those Euro snobs and all that stuff, like in a way they kind of proved
bro.
themselves right, because you watch the Euros tournament and like, I'm gonna be honest, the Euros tournament was better than the Copa America between like on every level, like the TV, the games, the competition, the state, like it just was a much nicer presentation in like all levels and in the quality. And it just sucked to see like, and then another thing too is like the stadium selection was terrible, and like where the games were played, like so many teams going back and forth across country. Some stadiums being half empty because they're over. Like, why was Costa Rica, Colombia played in University of Phoenix Stadium in Arizona?
Yeah.
That made no sense to me. Put that game in an MLS stadium in New Jersey. Put that in Red Bull Stadium in New Jersey. That shit's packing out. And I know they're probably limited on which games they can put in MLS stadiums, because MLS, what they do, they play through international windows. So that probably hurt a little bit. But obviously, we already know CONMEBOL is like the most corrupt, greedy, like, and we saw it in the final. And I'll end it too with like, I know, Will, you're saying this. People say, the USA is not ready to host a World Cup. I think that's nonsense. I think, to me, no one else is to blame but CONMEBOL and their complete incompetence. And I loved how, and it just showed that they were so quick to blame Hard Rock, when Hard Rock, first off, quick to clap back. They're like, no, fuck you. Like, they're like, no, we brought more security than you recommended. And then also Hard Rock came back and said that, and the security that was like around less than half than what was used for the Super Bowl or other Dolphins games than at normal NFL games. There's apparently infinitely more security. And I actually have a little bit of insight too, because I was talking to one of the security guards who was at that game, and they were saying, it's like, dude, we were really understaffed. And this was Hard Rock saying that they brought more than they anticipated and covered it, because it was all about CONMEBOL wanting to spend as little money as possible and trying to save as much as possible, and fitting stuff in stadiums that didn't fit. And it was such a shit show on all levels. And to all the people that say like the US is not the problem, they host previous World Cups, previous Copa Americas, never had this issue. Tons of big events and concerts and all kinds of other shit, never have this issue. But the moment CONMEBOL steps in here, and like, what happens? Like, and the thing too is this is a CONMEBOL track record. Like, we've seen this in Copa Libertadores, we've seen this in previous Copa America iterations. Like, this was just bad on all levels, and it sucks, because this is like our tournament. You know what I mean? And well, now it is with the combined North and South. And I think in my opinion, I think it should permanently be like that. I think it's the best format. Makes the most sense. I think having Canada perform well also really helped CONCACAF in that way.
That's true.
I think it just makes the most sense. The title, the names, Copa America, North and South. 10 teams in South America is just not enough. That's why in 2021 it was terrible in the group stage, because the top 4 out of a group of 5 like advanced, and it made the group stage awful. I think the group stage games here were actually super meaningful for the most part, and every game really meant something. And that was really really good. And just also as biased, just being a CONCACAF member, I like to see our teams get a little bit higher quality, playing against, like in Costa Rica's sake, playing against Brazil's, Colombia's, Paraguay, and all that stuff. But anyways, let's move into the rating system of the teams. So let's start off with Group A. Obviously, the Copa America Campione, the Argentina. We'll start off with them. Obviously, look, it's an A+. They didn't lose a single game. Definitely. I guess you could technically say they drew Ecuador. Oh, that was another thing. I just throw this real quick. Ending at 90 and going straight to pens is so dumb to me. But I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't like that at all. It reminded me of Leagues Cup, and I didn't like it in that either. But anyways, for me, I got to go A. Like, I mean, they won the whole thing. They did everything. Ecuador was really the only team that gave them a little bit of a spite, but really, for the most part, Argentina kind of ran that game. And then Ecuador squeezed a late one in. And it doesn't seem like Argentina is going to really slow down. They got a whole new generation right on the bench. I mean, you had like fucking so many people on the bench that could have started. I mean, Lautaro Martinez, Golden Boot winner, came off the bench the entire time. I thought it was crazy. He didn't get a single start. Like, look, I know his World Cup run wasn't the best.
He got one against Peru, but that was the last group stage. Yeah.
That's right. He got benched, and then But I would have liked to see him start a little bit more. I mean, Julian Alvarez, he's good, but like, I think Lautaro, and from what I've seen, Lautaro, like an intern and stuff, that dude's a killer. He will put it away if he has a chance. And I think he needed this reassurance from the Federation and Scaloni and everybody. But yeah, what do you got?
Yeah. I want to say something real quick, Julian. It's on my mind. And I want to get to Argentina real quick. Literally everything you said is I agree. And I completely back what you said with CONMEBOL. But also for any fans watching, for me personally, 3 people to really blame, and I'll make it super quick. One, obviously, is CONMEBOL, like you said. This money hungry of, we got to get the biggest stadiums, we got to get the most money, this and that, and making the ticket prices. I'm talking shit out of the roof, dude.
They must think we're all millionaires.
They must think that's on CONMEBOL.
I forgot about that.
Said, the final, the final game, the stadiums, the pitches, all that. CONMEBOL is big time to blame, and especially in that final as well. But the second one, these are the people I genuinely feel like have to get the most blame are the fans. The fans, especially 100%. In that Uruguay 100%. Colombia game. Listen, all due respect, I know a lot of people are criticizing Darwin Nunez, Manuel Ugarte, Ronald Araujo. Well, I'm going to say this right now. Props to those guys. Props to those boys because they did what they needed to do. Your family's on the line. Your family's getting threatened. And to those Colombian fans that were threatening them, trying to hurt their families, I respectfully, fuck you guys. That's just uncalled for. And the same thing happened, the same shit. And it wasn't just Colombians. It was Colombians and Argentinians at the final, trying to sneak in, trying to run around, trying to fight
I will say
security.
This.
It was majority Colombians, but there were Argentinians.
That shit was like 90% Colombian and maybe 10% Argentinians. And a lot of those Argentinians I will say people with Argentina jerseys, because let's not kid ourselves. Argentina got a lot of sleeper agents. They got a lot of sleeper agents. Yeah. So, and I will see some of these people in like I work at I see Argentinians constantly. And there's some people like, bro, you are not Argentinian. Like,
bro, not trying to be that guy, but you got Patel over here wearing the Messi jersey. It's like you not. But hey, I respect it though. Like I said, that they're the big part as well. But the other person you really have to blame.
I don't say. I respect the Colombians that said, like, look, this is disgusting. But then you had some online that are like, but there was Argentina. Bro, are you just going to disregard, like, everything that was just happening just so you could say, there's people with Argentina jerseys too? Bro, let's not kid her. Even, like, I was talking about a boy who was working security there. Everybody was like, it was the Colombian fans. It was fucking nuts. And it was large majority of it. Like, it clearly, bro, I live in South Florida. Colombia is like, only second behind Cubans down here. There's so many Colombians. There's not. Yes, Argentina travels. Oh, this was another crazy thing too. And look, we're gonna go back to the rating system, but I thought this was. I don't know if you picked up on this during the game. Game starts. Stadium looks like it's 80% Colombian, right?
Yeah,
bro. Did you notice at like the 70th, around 60th minute, how the color just swapped to like mostly Argentinian?
I think I saw that at the end of the game. That shit
was a sea of yellow.
Really?
It was a sea of yellow, but like the 70th minute, it was like maybe 60-40 in Argentina's favor. I don't know if anybody, I was asking my other friends to pick that, they noticed it too. And I was wondering if you did, but like, because obviously bringing cops one by one, checking row by row, kicking people out. And I'm like, bro, that shit, when that shit started, it had to maybe more than 80% Colombian. And it was a lot. It was a sea of yellow. And then that shit flipped like past halftime. I noticed that a lot. You didn't notice that? I was peeking at it. I was like, whoa.
I didn't see it. Oh, listen, you said it, Julian. You were like, I can't blame the U.S. Federation. You can't blame the USA. In a sense, for me, they're the third party that has to be guilty. I understand, yes, this was one, they're not their tournament, but two things. One, it's being played in their home soil. It's in their backyard. And I understand that, yeah, they basically, it's like a car. They gave the keys to CONMEBOL and said, listen, I'm just going to be a passenger princess. I'm going to let you take the drive and do it all. And that's true. But in a sense, it's like you're still in the car. And it was like the United States. You're still playing in the United States. You have control with the security, with the people working it. And also, just to be quite blunt, dude, this is something that so many commentators have already said. And you saw it in Europe, Julian. Why are we intermingling fans? If you're for Colombia, you're on this side. If you're for Argentina, you're on this side. You're separated. We have security guards in the middle. Simple as that. We don't need to be intermingling fans. And we saw that against Uruguay and Colombia. We intermingled the families, not just the typical fans, but
they should have been in suites. They should have been in suites.
They should have been in suites from the gun. But we also, we just don't need to intermingle fans. And that's something I've noticed in the United States. We still are lacking a big time, not just at the national level, but also at the MLS. We have to stop intermingling fans because, yes, I get it. It's just a little fun sport, kick the ball around, have fun. But at the end of the day, we see in Europe, dude, CONMEBOL, in Africa, in Asia, you can't intermingle fans because they're going to start
in
trying to
MLS. We separate the supporters, but casual viewers, I think it's hard. We're not the only country that intermingles. If you watch Liga MX, and I've seen vlogs and stuff of people going to Liga MX games. There's intermingling there. There's intermingling in Italy and stuff too. It's really the supporters that should be separated, and that's where they should have done. One thing I will give you on this that I think the USA is 100% the USSF has 100% to blame on is the fields. That's on them.
Yeah.
They allow the fucking turf and all this shit, the smaller, I know it's tough because you're just renting out the stadiums from NFL stadiums, and obviously NFL is the main driver of all the money and stuff, but I think it has to be on the soccer federation. The soccer federation should have told MLS, hey, look, some of these stadiums we need to use for the tournament. And whether or not CONMEBOL is no, we don't want to be in those stadiums. Obviously the super small ones like Paraguay, Costa Rica, that was in a MLS stadium, or Panama versus Bolivia, that was in MLS. But there should have been more, and they should have worked together to do that and figure out ways, maybe even playing in NFL stadiums that actually have grass. Because the ones that actually have grass weren't bad. Miami's field was fine. Arizona's field. It was the Atlanta. It was the LA. It was the New England,
Dallas,
New Jersey.
Houston ones.
Those ones were the bad ones because they all had fucking turf. But
those are gone.
Anyways,
yeah. Well, let's get to Argentina though. Yeah,
Argentina, go. I got it an A.
Yeah.
You got.
I straight up A+, dude. 100, 1,000, whatever you can give it, the maximum score. They had a job. Everybody said this was the team that was to beat. This was the team that was, obviously, I will say Argentina wasn't the most convincing in every game. In that first game against Canada, obviously that Ecuador game, like you brought up, even that Chile game, until 88 minutes, they got the winner through Lautaro Martinez. But Argentina, if we've learned something about them, dude, this is the Ohio State of football and soccer. They don't win games by smashing opponents. They don't just show up and start kicking your ass. This is a team that almost methodically can beat you any part of the field. Whether it's Nicolas Tagliafico, Nahuel Molina, Gonzalo Montiel, who I think had an incredible tournament. Both of their center backs, Lichi Martinez and Kutsi. The whole team was stacked. You look at their bench too. Garnacho played a little bit. He started against Peru, and that's it. So it just shows the talent and the depth that this team has. And I'm not really shocked, to be honest with Julian. I'm not too shocked that we're coming on this podcast and we're talking about them being the champs. But props to Argentina. They did what they needed to do. So,
all right. Next one, we got Canada. So, with Canada, first off, Will, all I gotta say was I was right.
Yeah.
I said my high semifinals because that side of the bracket was so bad. I was like,
I don't want to
anybody can make it to the semifinals. Anybody can make it. I gave Canada, I know some people want to give them an A because a lot of people didn't expect it. I don't want to say I expected it, but I thought it was a realistic goal because of how poor that side was, that side of the bracket was. I give them a B+, A-. The one thing that stops me was that I felt like, even though it's hard to say that Canada underperformed because they made it to a semifinal in their first ever Copa America, and they damn near fought in third place in that third place game. But I expected more from them. I thought the best part about that team and that starting 11 is their attack,
Mm-hmm.
and they
Mm-hmm.
barely scored. And I
They
thought that was
scored
a
twice.
major disappointment.
Well,
Jonathan
four times.
David,
Right.
I think, has to be a top 5 striker in that tournament. Like in terms of like on paper and like where he put like what he's done. To just come away with 1 goal is unacceptable. I thought Alphonso Davies didn't play that well, but you did find Liam Miller that was absolutely played out of his mind.
Jacob Schaffelberg, bro.
Balled out. Crepo showed out, and they both. And then obviously you had the defensive line of Cornelius and Bombito, who both weren't starting in the back line and really made a name for themselves and playing well. So I thought the defense overperformed from what I expected, and I thought the attack was lackluster. It felt like Schaffelberg was the only one really creating anything over there. Oh, and Kone, I thought, had a really good tournament. But
great tournament.
That's the only thing that stopped me from giving them a true A, was that I give them a B plus, A minus, because I thought they should have scored more. I thought they had too much quality to keep that Peru, Chile, and Venezuela games so close. Like those should have been, they should have, with that talent on the attack and with the speed and the physicality, they should have won those games clear without having a red card or anything. And I don't know what happened. I think maybe it's just nerves or whatever. But I think going into World Cup not World Cup qualifying, but I guess there's nothing else. But Nations League and stuff, I think they're going to get a lot of that stuff buttoned up and have Jesse Marsh. And also Jesse Marsh, 6-game fucking awesome.
Dude.
So, What do you give him?
For me, Julie, and maybe because this team showed it at the World Cup that the talent that they have, they showed it in the last World Cup qualifiers to the 2022 ones to get to Qatar. This team has shown the quality that they had, the speed, the agility, the mobility, the strength that this team possesses. But dude, it just seemed like at times they could not connect. And for me, what really would
they couldn't get that final third.
Right. And that's what, I'll be real, especially even looking at the roster, when we made these predictions, there wasn't a full out roster at the time yet, but we already kind of had an idea. And what really got it for me, the reason I'm not so bullish on these guys, and I'm a little bit more bullish now, I can't even lie, after this tournament, is I just did not think this team, when they would match up with other physicality teams, I thought they would kind of fall away, but also I thought they would kind of shy away. But I'm completely wrong. It's the total opposite. And we saw it against Argentina, when they face teams that are more technically gifted, that are more technically not like,
I was going to say Chile, that.
Right. Mm-hmm. When they face a Peru Chile that just wants to elbow you in the face. Hey, by the way, Peru Chile both got red cards when they played Canada. When these teams want to fight you and they just want to elbow.
And Peru should have too.
Arguably, yeah. But the thing is, like, that's the thing. Canada, I've realized completely after this, love that. They almost eat that up. That's their game plan. They almost want you to play like that because that's how they'll break you down. And I'll say it like you said, dude, Jonathan David, I mean, obviously got a good goal. He got a goal against Peru, so good for him. I didn't think he had the greatest tournament. Obviously, Alfonso, you kind of hit the nail on the head with Bombito, Cornelius, Kone. I think Estaquiao wasn't bad. I thought Jonathan Osorio was kind of nice. I can't lie, off the bench. He had a good little tournament. I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm pretty bullish on these two guys, and one of them I freaking hate, dude. And you know what name I'm going to say? In my opinion, I don't know if you guys are viewers watching. I texted this in our group chat, and he is probably the biggest cunt in the MLS. And well, not just MLS, he's the biggest cunt in CONCACAF, is Richie fucking Laryea, bro. Dude, I literally like when I see that guy, bro, I just want to lose my mind, but he's so fucking good. He's so he's physical. He can defend well. He can play right wing, left back, left wing, center. Dude, he is basically like the Camavinga of the CONCACAF. Like, he is Eduardo Camavinga in Canadian form. He's so just good. And dude, shout out to Tani Oyasu, the Minnesota United young lad. Like, bro, he didn't score a goal, but he was damn near close to it a couple times. He showed good promising and good talent in him. So, but yeah, I give him an A, bro.
I did want to say real quick. I agree. Like, obviously, like, you can tell that Canada they look the best against a team like Argentina and Uruguay because those players play more tactically sound. They play in Europe, just like a lot of these Canadian players. They play either in Europe or MLS, where it's a little bit more about tactical. Like they looked better because it felt like they're playing more the way that they're used to versus like. It's going to sound bad, but it felt like with Chile and Peru, they kind of had to play down to their level and play their game. It felt like and I thought Chile and Peru did a good job of having teams play their game versus Canada looked best when they play, even though they lost against Argentina. Clearly their best game was against Argentina because I think just stylistically it matched up, but that fit more the type of the style that they're going to play. But anyways, let's move that over to Chile, who got third place. I'm going to give them a straight D. This is what I was expecting. I thought all the Ricardo Gareca like hype was overblown. I'm like, dude, this team has not changed. They're not trying to even make a generational change. They're still rolling out the same old motherfuckers out there. And I thought when people were saying that they're top 10 in the power rankings and Copa America, I was like, no, they're not. Like I've seen these guys play. It's not good. They barely won in World Cup qualifying. I don't understand why people thought they were going to be as good as they were. I think everybody was riding on that Gareca train, but he seems like he's bringing in the same old guard. You need a guy who's really going to step in and change everything. And I give it a D. And the only reason why I don't give it an F is because they got 2 results, but they didn't score a single fucking goal, which is honestly, that was my hot take of the tournament was that my hot prediction was that Chile doesn't score a goal. And I was right. And the same went for Peru. I said, Peru's not going to score a single goal. So, you know what? Since we're running a little behind, I'm going to say I would give Peru a straight up F. I think, bro, one draw against Chile was already bad. And then stupid red cards and just like stupid fouls. And like I said, didn't score a single goal. I give Chile a D, Peru an F. It's a bad tournament.
I'm going to keep it real quick like you did, Julian. Honestly, quick. Jewel, my bad. Peru and Chile, straight up, both Fs for me. Dude, I'll be real. I was really bullish on the Chilean team, and I won't even lie. Like many fans, many other people out there, I was lost in the sauce. I was falling in love with this Chile team. I was eating up all the noodles. I was getting into it. I was like, bro, Gareca. I think we just got lost in the sauce. I think that France game, it wasn't, I don't want to say a lucky result, but it was just something that they still lost the game, but people were like, holy crap, this, and that. One of the goals was lucky by Marcelino Nunez, and the other one that Osorio scored was an absolute, he's probably never going to score that again in his life, but it's just like one of those, looking back at it, it was just a couple games. And as much as I remember this, when they beat Paraguay 3-0, we're going to get to them in a second, but look at Paraguay. Paraguay had an ass tournament. Like they had moments of okay, but they didn't have anything. They had an ass tournament. Yeah, the Colombia game and a minute against y'all. But yeah, I give both Fs, dude. Peru kind of expected, and both teams, they can't score a goal. Like, this is y'all's fucking tournament. This is Copa America. I'll just keep it straight up, dude, because I'm not super, super pissed. But if I was Chilean or Peruvian, dude, I'm punching holes in the wall, bro. My own.
You don't know what the future. You don't know what the future looks like.
Chile, you have a little bit more of a sense. There's a little transfer news coming up. They've got a couple guys, and Chileans have always been able to develop well. Their league's a little bit better. Peru, they're in a scary situation right now. We had Gabriel, you guys remember back on our first video, he kind of talked about it. They don't know who their next striker is going to be. The struggles continue. I don't know if they're going to keep Fossati or not. We'll find out. They got qualifiers in September, so good luck to the both of them, but they was F all around for both of them.
All right, let's move to Group B. We'll start off with Venezuela, who got first place. I'm going to give Venezuela kind of the same. I'm going to give Venezuela a B+. I thought they had a really good tournament. I did not think they were going to get first place. But the more I look at this Group B, man, this Group B was rough. It was really bad. And I give Venezuela credit for, even though it wasn't the greatest of groups, they still got out. They still won it. They put up a fight against Canada. I mean, they showed how much they really lacked offensively. I thought Sotero was terrible. He was the guy I was like, they need to watch out for Venezuela. And I thought he didn't play that well at all. He ended up getting benched. Solomon Rondon, bro, awesome. Dude, absolutely played well. Agent like wine. I thought a lot of the defenders for Venezuela obviously played very stout and very well. The only reason why I don't give it an A is really just because they still really lacked in the attack. Honestly, they still really couldn't score. They just played other teams who just couldn't score just as bad as them. Like Mexico couldn't score, Jamaica couldn't score, and Ecuador for sure as hell couldn't score. So, I give them the credit where credit's due to make it to a quarterfinal, get it out of the group. I don't remember the last time Venezuela's did that, but it's been a while. Obviously, the iterations of the tournament's a lot different now. But I do like Venezuela's future. I think they are a growing nation and they're getting better and better. And like the way soccer, and talking to Venezuelans down here, they're like, soccer is really growing down there because obviously baseball was always a priority sport there and it still is. But soccer is really starting to take off and the national team is really starting to get, and people are really starting to get behind the national team. So I give them a B plus, a B plus.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the same thing. Like you said, Joel, I'm giving them a B. I think this team just really showed that they're not a team to mess with. I mean, these are some dogs, bro. How the times have changed, man. You know what I mean? Like you said, dude, maybe 15, 20 years ago, this Venezuela team realistically was not going to beat Mexico at all. They're probably not going to beat Ecuador. And to be quite honest, they probably would have tied Jamaica. You know what I mean? It was not going to be like that. But now they're beating Jamaica 3-0 pretty comfortably. They're beating Mexico 1-0, and they're beating Ecuador to get 9 points. And the only reason I can't give them an A is because of that quarterfinal loss. And I'm so tempted to almost still give it because that game did go to penalties. And Salomon Rondon basically saw Maxime Crepeau, gave him the double birdie and said, I'm going to score right over your head, buddy. And that was an absolute banger. And I won't even lie myself, as a Panamanian, I was celebrating that goal. I was like, hell yeah, good stuff, Venezuela. But I just can't because they didn't go to the semifinals. And that was Venezuela's goal. If they said, hey, if we can advance through, well, let's go as first place. And they did. They avoided Argentina. So they took the more easier route to get to the semifinals, lost that game, fell up short. So only for that reason. But Venezuelans, I mean, you guys have a lot to look with this team. You said some names. I mean, dude, Darwin Machis looks good still. Eduardo Bello, that guy, I mean, he had a couple of goals in this tournament. He looked well. Even Jonathan Cadiz, who just got bought out by a Liga MX team. Cadiz is good. And this was a guy I said to watch out for. He came off the bench a couple of times for Solomon. He looks well. In the midfield, Yangel Herrera had good games. Dude, Brujo Martinez, bro, that guy's something else out in the Philadelphia Union. He's the real deal.
Dude's a dog.
Dude's a dog. And hey, I found out another dog on this team who I really didn't even know about, Rafael Romo, bro. Like, hey, honestly, we may not even be talking about Venezuela getting out of the group or coming out in first place if it wasn't for Rafael Romo. Big ups to him on his penalty save against Mexico. But yeah.
All right, let's go to Ecuador. So I'm giving Ecuador a C. I thought they really underperformed. I'm giving the C because they got out of the group. They did well enough. They put Argentina to penalties. I do think it was a little bit of I don't want to say a fluky game, but like Argentina couldn't put in the back of the net. I thought Ecuador did a good enough job to, keep the game and obviously score like right at the very end. And then they got a little bit of help because of the new rule changes of not going to 120. I would like to see how well that would have played out if we went to 120. So I'm giving them a C. I thought they didn't really progress or get better. They didn't seem to take that extra step. They still lack offensively, like so many of these teams in this Copa America. It's just the offense is it's so grim. They don't really have a true striker. Kevin Paez, he's a good, nice little talent of what could be there, and he had not a bad tournament, but just still not being able to score, man, and then losing to Venezuela, a team that you should beat, getting second place. I'm giving them a C here.
Yeah. God, dude, I want to disagree with you, Julian, just for the sake of the pod, but I have to agree, a C as well. Like, knockout stage game against Argentina, like you said, tie 1-1. For me, it was a fluke in a sense a little bit, but it was also Ecuador freaking hanging in there. A lot of teams,
Yeah.
dude, they're losing to the
You need
world
luck.
champ. Yeah. And the thing is, like, you're losing to the world champion 1-0, and it's 88 minutes in. Dude, a lot of teams would just, I keep it blunt. I know a lot of teams in CONMEBOL that would put the hat in and say, holy shit, we just lost to the world champs 1-0. We put up a freaking fight. Not Ecuador. Ecuador kept going in there. I mean, Jeremy Sarmiento, hell of a tournament from that guy, by the way. Moises Caicedo did his thing. Like you said, Kendry Páez was putting in the work. I mean, I'm trying to remember John Yeboah. I mean, that guy was incredible. Also, the German Ecuadorian. Like, they had a lot of pressure. But the group stage, that just looked, I mean, Enter Valencia, if they're still relying on him, it's, and especially at his age, it's like, holy cow, how much are you pushing? And Jordi Caicedo, honestly, Julian, we could be talking about a totally different tournament if he puts that goal in the back of the net.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those, you feel bad for that game they lost to Argentina.
Oh, you're back.
I got you. But yeah, they fired they fired Felix Sanchez Baz. So it's going to be a whole process for Ecuador. But I think the reality is their goal was to get first place, and they didn't get it in the group. So that's why I got to give them a C.
All right, let's go to Mexico. So I'm giving Mexico a D. I think Mexico, by a lot of people's standards, I mean, I originally had Mexico getting out of this group, but then after seeing the friendlies leading into the tournament, I'm like, they're not getting out. They look awful. Like, they look terrible. And I changed I know on these videos, I picked Mexico to get out, but like internally, I changed my mind. And then like talking to people after that video, before the tournaments, I'm like, Mexico's not doing it. After seeing those friendlies, no shot. And basically what happened, you beat a Jamaica team that you can, like, it's a lesser opponent, and it's a team realistically they should beat, and they've historically constantly beat. But even then, at moments, they looked like Jamaica was, they kind of put a scare to them. Jamaica, I believe, scored on them. It just felt like Mexico made no progress. It felt like such a wash of a tournament. Jamie Lozano, this weird situation where he was fired, but then they're going to keep him with it. But it looks like now he's just officially gone. Yeah. It just felt like tactically they lacked. It seemed like all this young talent that they were bringing in just seemed so whatever. Like, it looks like nobody's like really stepping up. It's like Edson Alvarez is on a fucking island, and he's like the only one really trying, like, playing well, like in all levels. And Santi Jimenez is absolute ghost, and everybody's just ghost, non-existent. And I know a lot of Mexican fans are hyped to get rid of some of the old guard and bring in some younger guys. But like, none of these guys look like they're ready for the moment. Not to say they can't turn into something, but I don't know. Like, it looks glim, bro. Like, I don't know what's next. So because of that, not getting out of the group, not really making any progress, I'm going with Mexico. And in a weak group too, I got to give them a D. The only reason I don't give them an F is that they got to win against a Jamaica team that you should beat.
Right.
Honestly, I don't even know if they should beat them, to be honest with you. Like,
definitely not on paper. I
think it should be probably 50-50 at this point. Like,
yeah. I'm going to keep it real, Julian. For me, it's a C. And not in the sense of like, oh, Mexico was decent. No. We, like you just even said, dude, before the friendlies, the games before the friendlies, the Nations League, I mean, even the Gold Cup and last summer, like, dude, this federation and this team has been an absolute catastrophe. I can't even talk right now. This has been absolutely catastrophic of a team and a federation. Like you said, they're just not putting things together. They're not putting the pieces together. And I think with Jimmy Lozano, I hate to say it, excuse me, the guy, I think at the under the U23 level, at the U20 level, he's decent. But he was just too close in age to so many of these players. And I felt like so many of the players, I don't think it's that they disrespected him, but I think a lot of them almost looked at him as like a friend. And they were kind of like, oh, that's my guy, Jimmy. And very similar to, which we're going to get to in a second, the USA, a lot of these Mexican players, and it sucks, or not suck. I don't think it sucks, because I was kind of glad to see it, but it sucks for them because they almost got so comfortable. They were just like, yeah, my boy Jimmy's going to play me. Jimmy's going to call me up, yada, yada, this and that. And Deadball TV, I saw their podcast a little bit about this, by the way. Shout out to Jack from Deadball. He's so right. It is not an excuse anymore to say that, oh, they play in the Liga MX, or, oh, Luis Chavez plays in Mexico. That's why he's not good. They don't play in Europe. Listen, obviously, if you're playing in the freaking Tanzania's 7th division, yeah, that's a little bit of like, you're not in that competitive of a league.
You can't look at what Panama and Costa Rica just did and then have that excuse.
Exactly. You can't even say what Colombia did with Jean Cordoba, who plays in Krasnodar and was arguably behind Lautaro Martinez, the best center 9 at the tournament, and say, oh, it's because I play in Russia, or, oh, I play at Atlas, or, oh, I don't play. No, that's just not an excuse. There were too many ballers from those leagues that for other countries that were freaking balling out for their countries, and yours weren't. It's just this team has this comfortability, this mindset, and something I've kind of even noticed myself as well, Julian, and that's why I give them a C, because the expectations, like you said, if this would have happened, let's say back in 2015 Copa America, yeah, I would be like, wow, Mexico just had the most ass tournament of their life. This is crazy. I'm not even shocked. They barely beat Jamaica, scored 1 goal this entire tournament, couldn't score a penalty against Venezuela, couldn't get a goal, and look completely ghost against Ecuador. I mean, they're literally cheering in the last minute when they get a last-second penalty. Well, I hope they realize this, and Mexico fans, they need to realize this. This is not the Gold Cup. This is not CONCACAF. This is not Nations League. You're not going to face Belize in Jamaica and play Trinidad Tobago in the quarterfinals. These are the big dogs. This is Copa America. This is CONMEBOL. So I think it was just a slap of reality to them, but we'll see how they go.
All right, let's go to the Reggae Boys, the most vocal fan base out there.
We see y'all, man.
You might disagree with me on this one. I'm going to give Jamaica a C-.
Okay.
I think considering all the off-field stuff and all like the weird kind of who's playing, who's not, I thought in a good amount of those games, I would probably say the Venezuela game was the one game where they got pretty beat. I thought the Ecuador game, that scoreline is misleading. I didn't think that they played as bad as what that scoreline meant. I mean, Ecuador had extremely lucky goal. They had a pen that was a handball, and then Jamaica didn't get a handball. Or no, wait, it was vice versa. I can't remember. One of them didn't get a handball. So Ecuador scored a miracle goal. They got a pen, and then they finally scored one like legitimate goal out of the run of play. So I think the scoreline was worse than it actually was on that. I thought the Mexico game, they competed. I thought they should have done well. The one thing where Jamaica really lacked, and why I'm not giving them a higher grade, is obviously, one, they didn't win a single game. Their goal differential was -6, and we all kind of predicted them to be last. But I thought the game plan coming into the game was not bad, set by the manager, but they couldn't complete it. It has a good game plan, but they made too many errors. And it worked at times, and especially against the Mexico game and some portions of the Ecuador game, but they let one too many mistakes go. Versus, like, I would say majority of the game, they look competitive, they look good. And considering that they never scored in a Copa America before and they get their first goal, I'm giving you that. So considering all the off-field stuff, considering how they looked in the game in terms of context, not necessarily at the score lines, I'm giving them a C-. I think there's still a lot of questions about what's going to happen with the future of that team, whether they're going to stick with their manager, who's going to play, what the system's going to be like. I would like to see that. I think just the big thing for me was just and the reason why they didn't win a game was I thought they lacked a little bit of tactical discipline in certain areas, which resulted in them giving up a couple goals.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I agree with what you're saying, Julian. Like, my bad. Sorry about that. Apologies. Yeah, no, I completely agree with what you're saying. Like, Jamaica, I can't even disagree. I also want to give them a C as well. Only looking at the bias views that we had before as well. Jamaica, this team wasn't, obviously a lot of us did not have them getting out of the group. I myself had them coming last place, I won't lie, but the Reggae Boys have shown on paper this team is deep. This is no team to joke with. Like they're almost like Canada in the sense on paper they are quite deep. They have the talent, excuse me, and they were able to possess and keep up with teams. And like you said, honestly, that last game against Venezuela, they were already eliminated. They honestly looked like they didn't even really want to play too much, and I think they were benching a lot. But I got to give a big shout out to their goalkeeper, though. The goalkeeper from Philadelphia.
No, Andre Blake.
Thank you. No, Andre Blake. So they step in with the kid, a 24-year-old kid that plays in the USL Championship, plays for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. I don't think anybody's ever heard about this guy.
Most beautiful stadium in USL.
Hey, honestly, but dude, massive shout out. I think his last name's Gray, if I'm not wrong, or one of those. But massive shout out to that keeper. I mean, he really put up some work. He was getting tested all throughout the tournament, and he was doing his job. And like you said, I think that Ecuador game, I can't even lie, that might have been probably one of the most entertaining games of the whole tournament. That was that'll shoot. Ecuador went up early with the crazy goal, like you said, and described it, but they got unlucky. Jamaica really got unlucky that game, and they got really unlucky in that first game against Mexico. The fact that they didn't even get a draw, they scored a goal. Michael Antonio, and it would have been the first one. They got it eventually against Ecuador, but Antonio scored a goal that looked so for me, I think it was the whole technology thing. That was another mess as well with Copa America with the goal line technology. But yeah, I don't know whether or not it was probably offside, but it looked so close to being onside. But I mean, yeah, it's a C for Jamaica. I hope they can move forward. They have a lot of good talent. And dude, like we were saying, they were still missing a lot of big players, man. I mean, Leon Bailey, the biggest one out of them all, he wasn't even there. So.
All right, let's move to Group C and start off the winner of it, Uruguay. I'm giving them a B-. I thought they looked pretty solid in the group stage. I thought the USA game, they tend to struggle a little bit. USA was really putting the pressure on them, but they were able to remain defensively sound, and they shut out USA and eventually eliminated them. But I thought they should have done a better job at winning that game. I think the Brazil game was not a very pretty game. That wasn't that was a South America. That was a South American game. Yeah. Which you would expect that game to be a lot better. But then to me, what really drops them down was I felt like they got progressively worse as the tournament went on. And then you go to the semifinals. You can't score a goal on Colombia down a man. Like, come on, guys. And you guys had the front foot on the entire second half. Colombia loses Munoz, one of their best defenders, probably their best defender, and you can't score. Suarez hitting it off the post. Darwin goes ghost for Uruguay, which is not common for him. Normally he goes ghost for Liverpool, but this time he's showing up ghost for Uruguay, and it's just not putting into the back of the net. I know the whole defensive situation because you're missing Araujo, so you had to throw Ugarte back as like a more center back. But nonetheless, in that second half, there's no excuse for that because Colombia's down a man. So you got to put your foot on the gas, and they weren't able to be. And I thought Uruguay as a whole just lacked a little bit of quality in that final third and really had that killer instinct to put it away. And I think moments like that is where you kind of wish you had that prime Suarez that just like absolutely put it. Because I love Darwin, man. I'm a big Darwin guy, but like, fuck, man. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to root for him. It's like, bro, how do you not put some of these things away?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm giving him a B- because you gotta give him a B. They made it to the semifinals. They played Brazil. You played a good USA squad that you survived. So yeah.
Yeah. I got to agree with you. I got to give them a B.
I mean, you beat Canada. Right. Arguably, Canada probably should have won that game. But Canada put out a second team squad, while Uruguay put out a first team squad.
Yeah. I think Uruguay,
that Canada squad was like a B Canada squad, and then they started changing everybody out. Yeah.
I just feel like Uruguay. I mean, that was after the whole Colombia Uruguay thing, the whole fight. But yeah, I'm with you as well. I got to give him a B. I think this team, like you said, they were able to. I completely agree with your statement. They started off the tournament very, very hot. But now I have to say, and I'm not roast. I love my boys. We're gonna get to them in a second. It was against the likes of Bolivia, the weakest team, unarguably, in this whole tournament. And Panama, a team that defensively we have never been our strong suit, and that's something that we're working with and we're really building. But, obviously those games, they look hot, they look fresh, they're going out. I don't know. For me, that USA game, I felt like in a sense they've already qualified Uruguay. They're already kind of through. So they were kind of just pushing it a little bit. I think the biggest thing, though, for this Uruguayan team, and like you said, in the Brazil and in the Colombia game, that just really – oh, go ahead.
Don't forget
What?
It's 1-1. It's 1-1.
Oh,
Berhalter?
Dude. Bro, we're going to – that guy, you know what? It's a national holiday when he got fired here in the United States. But, hey, 1-1, and then they get scored on. But, yeah, the thing is, like, it's just funny to see Uruguay, like you said, almost kind of decrease their progress. But this team, I mean, I'll say this is still a top class team. And I genuinely, I want to say, like I told, we talked about this a little bit on the preview to the fans. I was really thankful and I was really blessed to be able to have the opportunity to go to the Panama-Uruguay game and to the Panama versus Bolivia game in Orlando. So, to watch, especially that Uruguay game in person, dude, Julian, these guys, they're very similar. It's weird. I mean, it's almost like historically they've always been like Argentina's little brother, but also in how they play, they're so almost Argentina-like. They like to be methodical. They like to break you down and get into the press. And they're not this team that if they get the opportunity like against Bolivia, they're going to pound the door on you. But they're not this team that's going to be racking up, going absolutely insane. I mean, you saw losing 0-1 to Colombia, tying Brazil 0-0, beating the USA by 1 goal, So they're not that type of team to go wild with it. But like you said, Darwin, he had himself an okay tournament. I think the big star for Uruguay, these two names, really got to shout him out. Maxi Araujo. I mean, dude, guy plays in Toluca. Get the hell out of Toluca, bro. What are you doing there? Get to Europe, my friend. Like, Maxi Araujo, I saw him in person, scored an absolute dude, I was praising him after that goal. I mean, he scored against us. That was incredible, man. And then also, dude, the right back, Nathan Nandes. I mean, the guy got a red card against Brazil. Sucks for him, but we saw him in the group stage and how he can perform. And even in the majority of that Brazil game before the red, he's a work ethic, dude. He's a workhorse. And I think they really missed him in that Colombia game, especially on that right-hand side, trying to get crosses in, trying to get passes in. You could just tell that they were just lacking that Natandes strength and
we lost Will for a second. But I do want to tack on what he just said is another person I want to throw in there is De La Cruz, man. What an underrated player because he plays in Brazil. So like, unless you're Brazilian and you follow the Brazilian league, everybody knew that, all right, this guy's class. But like for all the people who don't watch the Brazilian league, he just put on a spotlight on himself that like, bro, it's a shame that he's probably too old to go to Europe now. He's 27, 28. And, to get over there, you got to leave. The problem is you have to leave like your early 20s. And if you don't, they just don't really take a shot on you. But man, that's a guy I would love to see in MLS, honestly, if you could get him over here. He'd bring a ton of quality. But that's a guy, he has so much quality. He's so creative and he just drops pinpoint passes. And it's a shame they had to pull him, I believe, in the Colombia game. But man, that guy, I like I said, unless you follow South American ball, like that guy is super underrated for a lot of like, let's say Americans, European fans. That guy he's got class. Dude's really good. But anyways, let's move over to your team, the Canaleros. I'll start you off. Let's go.
Oh, dude. Hey, can 1,000 maximum the biggest, like, can I just give these guys like a freaking, like, can I just buy the United States of America for them? I mean, absolute A+. I'm playing. I mean, but on a real note, honestly, only because of the Colombia game, only because of the quarterfinal result and how emphatic it was, I have to give a B. very, very honest. Obviously, I had high hopes. Not many other people did. Julian, Adam, other people watching this video. A lot of you guys didn't, and I understand for the reasonings and I understood the logic and whatnot, but I just knew this team had an extra dog in them. And I will say this, that the game of soccer is not always just about what it is on paper, or it's not always just about what the player, club he plays at, or how many goals he scored in that season. Soccer is about the moment. And I don't always agree with Stu Holden and John Strong from Fox Soccer, if a lot of our viewers know them, but Stu Holden was the one that said it. He's so right. Soccer is the game of the moment. What is going on right now? What's happening at this second? Is that player affected? What's going on with this? Tim Weah, I freaking love you, by the way, bro. Thank you for punching Roderick Miller in the face, because he just got a fucking red card and he got out of there. When he did that, I mean, dude, everybody in Panama, we had signs all over the country of Tim Weah, dude. We got his face. Like, we love him because he really saved the game. I genuinely still think
I think people love him here.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like, you have to realize the soccer is the game of the moment, and it's not played like that. And it's also played in so many different ways. And that's what makes our game so beautiful, the different styles. But for Panama, getting to a quarterfinal in a group, not just nobody had us in, even people in our own country didn't have us in. People were saying, try to just scrap out a tie, get a result, and not even getting to that USA beating the United States again for back-to-back summers, but also putting up a freaking dogfight with Uruguay. I mean, battling it back and forth. Yes, obviously fell short, lost 3-1, but putting up a fight. Coco Carrasquilla, Michael Amer Murillo. I mean, even I'm not bullish on him, but I have to say I will give it to him. Had a hell of a tournament. I think I want to say he's tied for the fourth goal scorer at this tournament. Jose Fajardo Nelson. I mean, dude, incredible to see his work ethic. And I want to keep in mind for our viewers and our fans, and we're going to get to another young center back from Costa Rica, but Panama, Edgardo Farinha, bro. Been following this guy ever since his days at Kai. I was following him when he went to Municipal. I freaking love you, man. You're the best. I see so much potential with you. It looks like he will be making the move to Russia. I'm really happy. I'm really proud for you. And the whole center line, Jose Cordoba, Roderick Miller played well. Cesar Blackman, he's not a right wing, dude. He's a right back. Goes up and scores a freaking banger against the United States. The entire team, I'm proud of you guys. I love you guys. Coco Carrasquilla, the only thing I would have said that you should have done better is you should have kicked Christian Pulisic in the face, not in the legs. Should have been a little bit more harder. But other than that, I'm happy for the boys and I love them. They did great.
I'm gonna replicate what you just said. I'm going B. Mm-hmm. I'll let you got all the good stuff out of the way, but I'll talk about some of the negative and why I give it a B and not an A. While yes, it's an amazing run, no one predicted you to guys get out of the group. I think the one thing that stops me from giving you an A in that sort was, just gosh, man, you guys give away goals like candy. Like fuck, even Bolivia scored on you guys. And I know me and Will disagree on this, but like, I think you guys try to play at a level that you guys just aren't at yet. So it leaves you guys very susceptible in the back to get caught and give up a lot of goals. And I think sometimes, and it's just how you're going to live and die by Christensen. It's just how he plays. You either get fucking mollywopped or you put up a really good game and you win, because some games it's like you just need to sit back and just keep it close. Just keep it close. Yeah. Don't let the game get away from you. And I think you guys tend to do that. I mean, even USA down a man, Flo Balogun, amazing goal. So like, there's that. Crazy. But you guys got scored on with a man advantage too. So I think if that didn't happen and you put up a better result against Colombia that wasn't 5-0, I would give you guys an A. But I think that result against Colombia was just way too rough. I think giving up, giving Bolivia a chance. I feel like you guys shouldn't even give Bolivia a chance at one moment, and then letting USA score on you down a man. That's the only thing that knocks me down from an A to a B. But I think the fact that you guys did give Uruguay a fight, you guys looked good against them, and they ended up putting 2 goals right at the end. And then at the end of the day, doing what you should do, which is beat the USA when you're up a man. Because at the end of the day, when you have that man advantage, you should score, you should win the game. Unlike what Uruguay couldn't do, and you guys are able to do what you should be able to do. So yeah, that's where I'm at. But let's move over to the USA. I'm going to give the USA a D, man. I mean, like, it's a game where goal differential really fucked them. They should have beat Bolivia. They should have beat the brakes off Bolivia, honestly. Like, coming out of that game 2-0 was insane. Me and you watched that game live in person together.
Right.
That game should have been way higher. Obviously, just falling apart against Panama. I think they should, with the quality that the USA has, they should have been able to hold you guys off to a draw. While I just said that, like, Panama did what they should have done and win the game, I do think for USA not to get a D, they would have had to be able to hold you guys off. Like, they should have been able to. I think they had enough quality to at least keep it to a draw, but they didn't. And just underperforming, like, couldn't score against Uruguay. And obviously, you got to look at the coach, bro. Like, bro, you cannot be pulling out scores from other games, knowing that you just got to win, man. Just win. Win and you're in. Like, don't worry about the draw. Don't worry. Just win. Like, because even if you guys won it, well, no, wait. Okay, you guys got 6 points. It
would have been close.
It would have been close. It would have been close.
Yeah.
And that's where the Bolivia game comes into plays a factor. Because Uruguay just had such a big goal differential. So it would have been like 6-6-6. So just completely underperformed. The team just lacks. They just seem so soft. Like, they just seem so soft. And I don't know if a new coach that comes in, whoever comes in, whether it's Patrick Vieira or Wilfred Nancy or Thierry Henry, whoever it might be, I think just some of these players they can't punch above their weight. And honestly, I see it even in the club level. I know, like, a lot of USA fans want to rave, but, like, who on this team is really punching above their weight? Like, even at the club level. Like, not even just international. Like, there's more to the game than just where you play. Like you said, it's all about, like, what you can do right here and right now. And they just couldn't show up. So yeah, it's a D for me. The only reason they don't get an F is that they beat Bolivia. I mean, honestly, D-. Fuck it, D-. Got nothing out of this tournament. Complete waste. Complete wash. I can't name you one good thing that came out of this, other than the fact Berhalter was fired. Which
I was going to say that, and they realized Flo Balogun can score absolute bangers. But at the same time, we already knew that. We as neutrals and as fans of the game, we already knew Flo Balogun. I agree with you, Julian. I got to give him a D. I won't even lie. You know, going into this tournament, as obviously looking at this in a different perspective as a Panamanian supporter, you know, as a fan, I knew that it was either going to be Uruguay or the USA for a team to knock out or to eliminate. And as a fan, looking at the past, Uruguay had struggled in a past couple Copa Americas. Last time it was hosting the USA, they didn't even get out of the group, you know, when they were grouped in the Group C. So it was kind of like, whoa, you know, Uruguay. And it was also the first game. And you know how tournaments work in this style in international football. That first game is always where the young dogs and the young bucks say, hey, we're about to make some noise and we're about to make some shit happen. So that's where I felt, and genuinely, honestly, to be quite blunt with you, was like, hey, this is where Panama can either tie or by the grace of God win a game against Uruguay and move on and see what happens with the USA and then beat Bolivia in that last game. Complete opposite. It ended up becoming the United States. Like you said, I think, honestly, I got to really hit because footballistically, these guys, they're not horrible. They're not the worst. Like you said, none of them are key men at their clubs other than maybe Christian Pulisic. You could say Flo Balogun with Monaco.
I think these guys play. I think some of the guys play well, but I don't think they play above. I don't think they punch above their weight.
And
like, I thought Christian Pulisic might be the only guy who can. But even then, I think he just plays at a good level, and I don't know if he necessarily punches above his weight. Like. Right. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain. He's probably the closest to that.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, like, this team, kind of like you even just said earlier, they're so mentally fragile. This team is like a literal, like, I'm talking about you take a glass ball, or excuse me, glass cup, you drop it on the floor, shattered everywhere. That's how this team plays.
They
I
got the
mean, you
stickers
can
on
just
them from the
they got
boxes.
dude, these guys are so like
Handle
I'm
with
talking
care.
about, bro, yeah, put some tape on that bad boy because they're about to start crying everywhere. Like it's just how fragile. And like you said, and it starts at the top. It starts with Greg Berhalter. Why the hell? And like I said, I'm taking my Panama cap off because
It
obviously
starts at the
while I'm watching,
Federation, bro. To me, like
right,
it's at the top,
right.
top.
But it's talking in Copa America sense, like in this
Yeah.
tournament. And like I said, taking my Panama cap off and looking at it as a fan or as a neutral fan from this perspective, why the hell is he telling them anything about the game? I don't even care if it's a red card. If Eduardo Guerrero just straight up punched Vaca in the face and Panama's a man down, like, dude, you don't have to say any of that. You got to be quiet. You know what he should have been saying at that moment? Because it's karma. It's absolute karma that the second that happens, Mateus Oliveira is putting that goal in the back of the net, and Matt Turner and all the boys are picking up the ball and they're going to the halfway line. It's absolute
And also,
karma.
people
And
freaking out about that offside call. To me, that was onside. Like I
it
don't.
was
It's close. It was close,
right.
but I don't understand. Like, bro, look at the right angle. People were flipping out, saying it was rigged and all this. Like, bro, come on. You
It
really
wouldn't
think
mattered. They still didn't
Uruguay
win the
rigged
game.
it? And yeah, regardless, you didn't even win at the end of the day.
Right.
And
right.
And if without offside technology, like there's a real argument to say that was onside. It was close. It was super close. But yeah, let's move on to Bolivia. Look, I don't really have much to say. I think they were the worst team in the tournament. I give them an F.
Yeah.
They scored one goal against Shaw, which is not the most impressive feat. They just look bad. I thought maybe the goalkeeper had a really good game against the USA. He had to make a couple great saves. Outside of that, man, and be honest, I didn't even watch a lot of this. They just got mollywopped by Uruguay. They got beat by USA, but USA should have put more on them, and then you guys beat them. So
yeah, I agree with you. Keep it quick. I give them
an F.
Oh gosh, there's one other team, and you probably know who I'm going to say. I have to give an F. I'm going to give Bolivia only a D, only because we kind of already expected Bolivia. We knew they were going to be the whipping boys of the group. We knew this team wasn't
minus
really
9 goal differential in 3 games.
I know, but it's Bolivia though. If we're talking about like
the worst goal Ecuador, differential in the entire tournament.
Yeah, I agree, but it's still Bolivia though. And also they didn't have Marcelo Martins. Like this team, just the whole tournament. I mean, you saw that, dude, in that Uruguay game. Just I will give them that. They held it 2-0 respectively, a respectful loss until like 80 minutes, and then the floodgates just opened up and they couldn't even do anything about it. And Uruguay scoring all over the field. And I will say though, I was thankfully able to go, like I was saying earlier, to the Panama Bolivia game. Bolivia, listen, man, they got some players that are talented that can maybe in the future with Miguelito and Vaca and Vizcarra, but man, they gave us a little bit of a scare. I can't lie. They tied that game up, but they're just defensively.
Cheeks are squeezed, man. They're tight.
Dude, they were. I'm talking like I was holding my eyes, man. I couldn't even believe it. But yeah, defensively, they're not founded. They're not that good. So,
all right, let's move to the final group, and we'll end it on the podcast. Let's go Group D. The winner of it was Colombia. Let's start with Colombia. Ah, man. Ooh. I know I'm the ultimate Colombia hater. I got a lot of Colombian friends I play with. I was talking shit. I was like, and the reason why I'm a Colombian hater is because I think being around just a lot of the banter leading up to the tournament, saying like they're the best team in the world.
Yeah.
We're gonna molly out, and then the shit that the fans are. I was honestly very happy to see them lose. I was hate watching them. But out of all due respect, I got to give them an A, man. Look, you held Argentina, the number 1 team in the world, the best team in the world, the reigning champs. They're going to go down as one of the best. I don't think they're the best international team ever. I still think Spain is better than them. But they're going to go down as one of the best, one of the most accomplished generations. And they held them down to extra time, man. 112 minutes. I got to give credit where credit's due. You beat the likes of Brazil. You beat Uruguay while down a man. Like, you had a lot of players, like, for some reason, James Rodriguez shows out for his nation, but not for a club. You had a lot of guys that stepped up, like Cordoba. Munoz had one hell of a tournament. Just a lot of guys. John Arias, like a lot of guys who played really well, man. Lerma, I thought Lerma.
You know this guy,
bro.
Hey, Richard Rios, bro. Holy crap, man.
Yeah. So I give them an A. I thought they played well. Yeah. They beat a strong team. They made it out of the tougher side of the bracket, and then they held the defending champs, a team that's arguably way better than them on paper. And look, I didn't think Colombia. I thought it was possible for Colombia to make a final. I didn't think it was going to happen. But considering, like, you look at that team on paper and you're like, this team doesn't seem that strong, but like as a unit, and what's the coach's name? I'm drawing a blank. It's Nestor
Lorenzo.
I said Hester. Yeah. Nestor Lorenzo. What he's been able to do and rally them and, play better than the sum of their parts is really impressive. You know what I mean? Because like you look at Brazil, even though this is a down Brazil squad, you look at them, you look at Argentina, you even look at Uruguay. Sometimes it's like these teams should beat them, and you know what? They couldn't get the Argentina one, but they got the other two, and they looked very well. They looked very good, and it seems to be like they're going to make the World Cup this time around.
Yeah.
So I got to give credit where credit's due, even though I hate watching them and was rooting for them to lose. I'll give them an A. I thought at the end of the day, they took it to the final minute, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you as well. I was hate watching since the quarterfinals, man. I obviously wanted Panama to win. We didn't. Wanted Uruguay to win. They didn't. Well, obviously wanted Argentina, and thankfully they got the job done. But yeah, like you said, what did you give them, Julian? An A or a B?
I give them a flat A. I'm not giving them an A+ or A-, but I'll give them a flat A.
I'm gonna go A+, only in the sense of everybody, kind of the two heavy favorites were, in the sense leading into the tournament, were Argentina and Uruguay, and Colombia was kind of that team that really wasn't a dark horse, but they were stretching from the outside and kind of had one hand in and another hand trying to grab onto the latch as well. But like you said, dude, I mean, Richard Rios, John Arias, James Rodriguez, dude, listen, he can put on freaking Chelsea, Real Madrid, Inter Miami, dude, Orlando City's B team, whatever jersey in the world. He's just not going to play up to it. But when he puts on that Colombia national team, I mean, bro's the freaking, like, dude, he's the Medellin master himself. Like, the guy is all over the field, and what he did I watched obviously that Panama game in and out and thoroughly. Just an absolute maestro on the field, man. Incredible. He was the best player of the tournament. No, undoubtedly, James Rodriguez, absolute massive props to him. And like you said, I think honestly, coming out of that group and topping it, and the way they did it with, I guess you could say Paraguay gave them a little bit of scare in the second half, but beating Paraguay, beating you guys, I know it sounds bad, but respectfully beat you guys quite comfortably, a 3 solid result. And then even that Brazil game, they went down early after Rafinha crazy free kick, but Daniel Munoz coming back in, and this whole team, Mojica as well on the left side was incredible. And dude, Davinson Sanchez, I love Davinson, and I will say I don't like a lot of the players or as fan favorites, but I really, really like Davinson Sanchez, his journey that he came through from Tottenham, being benched, coming on as a sub, and then coming pulled off, and within like 10 minutes after playing a Tottenham game and crying and getting booed by fans and all this crap. And now, bossing out in the Copa America, like completely shutting down offenses left, right, up, everywhere. Massive shout out to Davinson Sanchez. And I got to give it. Camilo Vargas had a good tournament as well. Good goalkeeper, plays over in Atlas. So this team, we knew they were hot. We knew they were fresh. Just like the song, So Fresh and So Clean. We knew this team could come in there and they could be like that. But I didn't know they had that swagger. I will give it. Their fans really impressed me. They showed out for games. Obviously, like I said, that Uruguay game, F those fans that started fighting those kids and those women. That's not cool. Don't do that. That's not right. I know that wasn't all of the Colombian fans. Yeah, right, exactly. So it's just one of those, But other than that, their fans were showing out for a lot of the tournament and stuff like that. Other than those last 2 games, not uncalled for, not cool. But no, I give an A as well for Colombia.
All right, let's go to Brazil. I'm between a C- or a D+. I'll give that range. I think there's some good things to look out of the Brazil. I think when I'm giving these grades, and I want people to keep in mind, is like based off the expectations that we have for these specific national teams. I think with Brazil, this is a team that should be competing in finals year in and year out. You should not be barely getting out of the groups. They shouldn't be losing out of quarterfinals with an A squad. They should be in semifinals or finals. And they just look so flat. They struggle to score, obviously holding a result against Costa Rica, who was defensively stout. They didn't look great against Colombia, even though they probably gave Colombia I'll say Uruguay gave them the toughest fight, and so did Argentina. But they could put up a solid fight against Colombia, but it's still, to me, a team you should. I did think that you had some bright spots with really discovering Savinho. He's a guy that's really could potentially be something. Obviously, just got a full-blown transfer over from Manchester City after having a great year with Girona, and obviously having a pretty solid tournament in his own respects. But it seemed like everything else was just Vinny was ghost, no real striker. Rodrigo was nowhere to be found. Rafinha looked all right. He always seems to play a little bit better with Brazil than with Barca. Paquetá, he was whatever. Guimaraes, like it was just such an underwhelming. Dorival Jr. I thought had just poor tactics. I felt like he couldn't find the way to get the best out of these players. Even Endrick had one touch in one of these games. Like he was pretty much locked down for the most part, and it's just an absolute disappointment. Like, as much as I love Costa Rica and I root for them, and obviously I am Costa Rican. I understand from the other side of it, to lose to us is kind of embarrassing, especially given the state that our team is currently in. It wasn't like prime Costa Rica team where maybe it's a little bit more respectable, but you're considering like you lost to the youngest team in the entire tournament, a U23 squad, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, and not lose, but tie. It probably felt like a loss to them, but tie.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think it's a C-D. I give them a I'm not gonna say F up, because look, they still got out of the tournament. They still beat the teams. They still beat up on Paraguay. They made it to a quarterfinal. So I'll give them that. But this is Brazil, man. This is fucking Brazil. Like, it's finals or you win the shit or bust. You win or bust. Like, that's literally what it is for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got to agree with you. I got to go with C, and I'm with you as well. I'm I'm like at a 70 flat. I'm talking like 69 might be it. I might go D+ on it as well. This is Brazil, and it's not only just that it's Brazil with the team that, if you just look at the transfer market, this is not some little baby Brazilian team. Yes, it is one of the worst teams we have seen collectively, but individually, this team is not that bad. I mean, dude, the names. I mean, Bruno Guimaraes, Lucas Paqueta, Rodrigo, Rafinha, Vinicius, Alisson. Dude, I mean, if you have a team so
Eder Militao,
Marquinhos, bro, if you're center back, you guys probably remember on our last pod, Adam was having a whole freaking spaz attack because his Arsenal boy, Gabriel, wasn't starting, which, in all respect to Adam, I agree completely with him. Why is Gabriel not starting over Marquinhos, or at least Eder Militao? Beyond us, we don't know that. We're not Dorival Jr., whatever. But the thing is, this team is still so deep. And like you said, Julian, and in respect to Costa Rica, because we're going to talk about him in a second. And, dude, I will say Jalen Mitchell to the freaking moon. Great player. Absolutely incredible player. And we find that out from the Copa. But the thing is, it is still Costa Rica, though. It would have been the same thing if it was Panama, Paraguay, Peru, even Chile. If they're tying them 0-0, listen, I'll be honest, tying 2-2.
I'd even say the United States. That United States draw was a disappointment.
And to tie 0, or to tie, I'll say this, Julian, tying 2-2 is like, wow, our defense was just shit. Vinicius maybe scored a goal. Rafinha got a goal. And Enrique got a great goal. It's like, okay, we scored. But to tie 0-0, to not even get a goal, to have to go back as a Brazilian and say, oh, yeah, the ref didn't give us that penalty in the first half. You shouldn't have to worry about the damn ref or the damn penalty that wasn't called. It should be, we should have been scoring goals. We should have been having moments already created. And to have all those moments, and they did create chances against you guys, but also we're talking about Jalen Mitchell, but also Patrick Sakita came out clutch, very, very clutch for you guys. I'm probably butchering his name, but you know who I'm talking about. The guy between the goalposts, a very, very big game for him as well in that game. But the thing is, you're Brazil, and not just only you're Brazil, you're a hot team. You have a lot of players coming in fresh, a lot of players coming in hot. I will say as well, I don't know if you saw the video, Julian. I don't know if our viewers saw that. At the penalty shootout, have some respect for your manager. I think a lot of these players, if you see that and you see in their faces, Vinicius, even Rodrigo and Guimarães, they don't respect Dorival Jr. at all. They have zero respect for him. How are you going to be able to take a penalty kick shootout and you guys are all huddled up and your coach is like, hey, can I say something? Can I say something? You're the goddamn head coach. Obviously, you can say something, dude. Like, it's sad that that's the point that we had to come to with this team. But that's how it is. It's a lot of individual players, but it's not a collective unit.
Yeah. All right, so let's move over to Costa Rica. So my grade.
Yeah.
Bro, look.
Be real. Be honest.
I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
And considering the context of everything and how I feel coming out of this tournament,
F.
An absolute A. I'm giving it an A. I thought they were the best team to not make it out of the group stage, and that's a lot of people give us that. We had only Mexico beat us on goal differential, but even so, you put us in any other group, I think we make it out of that group. Any other group we're in. In that group B, we're out. That group A, we make it out. Group C would be tough, but I think considering it would be close, I think we would probably make it. If you replace us with Bolivia.
Who'd you replace with? Oh, Bolivia.
Oh, no, you would replace us with you guys. It would be because that was what the pot, I think, was.
No, y'all were four. It'd be Bolivia.
Was it? It would be Bolivia?
Yeah.
I think that with the way that they played, I think any other group, they have a realistic chance. I mean, shit, they almost made it out of this time. If Colombia would have done the job, if Paraguay didn't drop the ball so hard with the with losing 5-1 or something, I think that's what really put it out of the way. But if like Brazil would have only won by like 2, there's like a realistic shot. But considering that you're the youngest team in the entire tournament, a lot of people had you rated as probably the second worst team, only behind Bolivia. But then to come out of it in arguably the hardest group in the entire tournament, which Colombia, Brazil, Paraguay, and then us, to get third, pull away with 4 points. I'm sorry, they're the best team to get grouped. If you look at the power rankings after the top 8, we're 9. And I think I've seen a lot of power rankings of people giving it to us. We are, if you consider our performances and what we do and what we overachieved and what the results we're going to get out of this I've already seen 5 guys, not 4, 3 to 4 guys get transferred to Europe already because of the performance that they put. And I don't think I came into this tournament not expecting to win, not expecting to get out. And I think a lot of people in Costa Rica felt that same exact way. What everybody wanted was to go in there, put up a fight, look good, have some guys get some transfers to big clubs and progress and feel like we're moving forward. And that's exactly what we got and a little bit more. I thought the way they looked against Paraguay was great. I mean, they actually played some attacking ball because they felt this was a team that they can actually compete with and on kind of level ground. Obviously, you tie Brazil, which is an incredible result. Look, you can't go out there tit for tat for Brazil. At the end of the day, it's fucking Brazil. You got to do what you got to do. It's about getting fucking results. And sure enough, I think if we would have had any other game plan, Jalen Mitchell wouldn't be at Feyenoord right now. If you pull out any other game plan.
Yeah.
And then the same goes for Siqueira. I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with him. I'm sure he's going to get a transfer soon. another one of the players going to Scotland. I mean, and there's more to come. Another kid going to potentially Celtic soon. So there's definitely more to come. I thought the Colombia game, considering the context, like the score line wasn't as bad as it actually was. I think Siqueira gave up a very stupid penalty kick that James puts away. Then they score. Then Colombia scores off of a set piece, which I thought was skeptical foul that I really thought James flopped on, and they gave it to him, and then they scored off of that. So they only got one goal off the run of play with us, which a lot of other teams can't say. And even talking to Colombia fans and watching that game, we probably were the hardest to break down for them in a lot of ways. Because even that Argentina game, they had like 4 shots on target against honestly, they probably should have beat Argentina in a lot of ways if Emi Martinez was behind those sticks. But I thought we did a really good job of really being hard to break down. So I still firmly believe if you look at the rest of the teams that got grouped, I thought we had the best performance out of all the teams to get grouped, considering the group that we were in and the amount, and not even just that, but then also the points we got, and that we were the youngest team in the entire tournament. Literally a U23 squad outside of Francisco Calvo and fucking Joel Campbell, who fucking
Pablo Vargas.
I thought his career was done. I didn't want to see him anymore. But you know what? He came in that Colombia game and in that Paraguay game and looked really good and earned himself a transfer to Brazil. So, like, I thought he was done. I thought he was retiring in Costa Rica, but he surprised me. I did not expect that coming. So, considering the context of everything and what I expected from this tournament, I got everything I expected plus a little bit more. And I said from the jump, we're going to get an upset. I said in our prediction video, I don't know who, but it was going to be somebody. I was like, obviously you don't win. Obviously we didn't beat Brazil, but a draw in my mind is an upset to get that draw. Like no one would pick. I don't even know what the odds would have been to get a draw in that game. And then obviously going out against a Paraguayan team that you feel that you can go out there and like kind of compete with. And I'm not gonna lie, Paraguay has a lot of talent, especially in the attack. Incenso, Miguel Amaron, like, you know, these are players that can play at high levels and play really well. But I think just seeing what I saw and considering how young these guys are and what they did and to progress the country forward, I give it an A. I can't. I saw the results I expected to give it an upset and beat Paraguay. That's exactly what I expected. Get a draw somewhere and beat Paraguay.
Yeah, listen, this podcast isn't for us to disagree and debate Costa Rica, so we'll skip all that. But I will say we're talking about the Copa America and the teams, and we're grading them. Julian, I honestly agree with just about everything you said. There's a couple things in there about the style of play, a few of the team things with the team and stuff. But for the most part, I really agree with what you said about Costa Rica. Overachieved, overperformed, played well. I'll even say myself that it's football. We talked about it too just earlier, dude, when we were talking about Group A, Group B, and Group C. Football is about two things. Sometimes the pot of the luck has to be on your side, a little bit lucky, and also at the same time as well, football is about the moment. Football is about the right now. What is going on at this moment? So arguably people can say, you can say it, being disciplined. You can say it. You can call it what you want. Brazil, man, I got lucky, this, and that. To be honest, it was just a defensive masterclass from you guys, the way I viewed it, and just really, really parked the bus on it. Brazil didn't score. You guys got a point. That's big. And like you said, that was historic. I have to give a B, though. I cannot give an A to you guys only because you didn't get out of the group. And respectfully, yes, I like you said, you know, obviously Colombia, team that made the final, and Brazil being Brazil, you know, but it was also at the same time, you know, and not to say it like comparing it, but like I will compare with Canada and the United States, or not the United States, sorry, Canada and Panama, both teams not expected to get out. Maybe Canada a little bit more than Panama in a sense, but still two teams that were not like, oh yeah, they're definitely going to get out, it'll be good. But two teams that did, they progressed. So for me, I just feel like Costa Rica in that sense did not have it, that killer ability. Like you said, that Paraguay game with Brazil, that really just shut the book on y'all. But honestly, I will say I have to give a B. the team was really able to build around themselves. They were really able to play well. Like you said, it's a young team. And for all of CONCACAF and myself being a Panamanian national team supporter, it does. I don't want to say it doesn't worry me. You guys don't worry me.
It worries you. You're worried.
But you definitely are more in the back of our minds. I would say this
out there.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go. I'll let you finish.
Yeah. Just real quick. I just want to say that you guys aren't a team that is like, oh my God, like they're going to win. I still am confident. I'm still confident. Obviously, US 1, Mexico 2, Panama 3, Canada 4. I would potentially move Canada up a little bit more after this tournament, after this Copa. But Costa Rica's on the rise. Obviously, the whole Gustavo Alfaro thing, I don't know what's going to happen with that, man. Hopefully, you guys keep him. Would be crazy. You just beat Paraguay, and then he goes to Paraguay.
They steal our fucking coach.
They can't beat you guys, so we're going to join you guys. That's insane. That's insane.
To me, that's embarrassing.
But for CONCACAF, though, for especially this Nations League, and like you and I, we've talked a lot about this, dude. And for all of our CONCACAF viewers watching this, as we know, Copa America was big. Obviously, we're getting ready. We are getting hyped for it, whatnot. The goal for us is 2026. We haven't lost sight. It's not the CONCACAF Nations League coming up. It's not even the Gold Cup next summer, which will be awesome and fun to watch. It's qualifying for the World Cup. And for both, respectively, for Costa Rica and for Panama, both our countries, we both need to be there. So it's one of those, this can get interesting. This could be very, very interesting. But I think Costa Rica has a lot to look forward to with their team.
Yeah, it's funny that you're saying like you didn't want to say you're getting nervous, but like of what's coming.
We're not nervous, but it's a young team. It's a young team.
But I wanted to tell the audience what's funny is like I've been sending since all this transfer stuff because we've been getting a lot of transfer moves. There's still a lot more to come and rumors. I'm sending them to Will. And I'm like, yo, look at this guy. He's going here. This guy's playing. Wow. Yeah. One of our boys just played against Tottenham and looked good. I was like these boys are young. I was like, they're young and they're coming. And I was like, look, there's a, what's it called? There's a sleeping giant coming in. It's coming back. It went under hibernation for a little bit, but the Kings are about to retake their crown.
Just keep Gustavo Alfaro,
America.
If y'all keep Alfaro,
the Kings are about to retake. You took it from you guys staged a little coup. You guys staged a little coup for a little bit, but we're. He's like, you know what? We hunkered down. He's like, you know what? If we go back immediately, we're gonna get screwed. Let's rebuild a second, and then we're gonna come back and take our crown.
That's all I gotta say. 6-1. Remember that result, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the 6 World Cups we've been to. My bad.
Oh no. Hey.
But anyways, let's move to Paraguay. I'm gonna give Paraguay a D. The only thing that stops me from giving them an F is I thought they looked decent in the first half of that Colombia game. I thought there was moments where they looked really well. I thought Enciso looked great in that first game. Miguel Almiron, just absolute ghost for Paraguay once again. But other than that, I mean, look, they lost all 3 games. They didn't really look good in any of them. They got blown out by Brazil. They looked, like I said, they looked good in the first half of Colombia, but Colombia then showed their quality and beat them. And then they didn't look good against us in Costa Rica. Costa Rica put up 2 goals early, and then they got 1 goal, but then they couldn't really create much after that. They had a hard time breaking us down because after we got 2 goals, we didn't play as defensive as like Colombia and Brazil, obviously, because we were still on the attack, and we could have probably put 3 or 4 on them at one point, but we did start to kind of take the pedal off of gas a little bit and play a little bit more defensive and let them get the ball. Because look, if Brazil couldn't break us down, we sure as hell believe that you guys can't. So, they just I would say it's a bad. I believe Paraguay underperformed. I thought they should have at least got 1 result. And I know from if you're a Paraguay national fan, I think you look at that Costa Rica game and you look like we should have beat them. And then you fire your coach, and now you want to take ours. So we'll see. That's still continuing. It's not there yet. We'll see. But I think just a very poor showing from Paraguay. I'm giving them, like I said, a D.
I agree. I'm just going to go a letter grade down. It's an F for the talent that this team has. Ramon Sosa, a 22, 23-year-old kid, I think maybe even younger than that, can't be your only attacking force. I mean, and Enciso, like you said, in that second half against Colombia looked good, and they looked well. But, I mean, after that, I understand it was Brazil, but this is one of the weakest Brazilian teams that we've seen in a while. You got to take advantage of that. And it really just seemed like it was weird because they kind of caught Brazil at a wrong time, after Brazil had a really, really frustrating night against Costa Rica. Now they're all pissed off. The Brazilian media is absolutely eating these guys apart. You go in there, you're pissing off their players. Their fans are getting hyped. Brazil, they're putting the hammer down on you right now. So it's kind of like almost in a sense unlucky for Paraguay. But like you said, that last game, I'll be real, Julian. I even said this in my prediction. I had either a draw in that game, a 0-0, a snooze fest, or I had Paraguay winning. I just did not see you guys coming out of the gate that hot, coming that fresh into it. And it honestly, just to be quite honest, it looked like a combination of two things. It looked like one, Josimar Alcacer snorted a line of cocaine and just went to go play freaking soccer that morning, dude. I don't know what it was.
He finally got a start. He finally got a start he deserved.
And I've been saying it for you guys. That guy is the truth. I will say it. He's an incredible player. Him and Gerald Taylor should be starting all these games for you guys upcoming. But I'm just going to leave it there. Alcacer is a beast, by the way. And then also at the same time, I just got to say, dude, Paraguay just looks so flat-footed. And like you said, for me personally going into that game, I felt like Costa Rica, what I was predicting, what I was going to see happen was Costa Rica was like, you know what? We got to draw against Brazil. We've already had a good tournament. We've already shown Jalen Mitchell's quality, our goalkeeper, a couple other guys in the midfield. Wrap it up, close it up. We're done. Close up the shop. We're not even going to try to go out there. No. And also, Manfred Ugalde. Manfred wasn't even playing in that game. So your guys' number one, the best player on y'all's team, your number one striker, arguably the best center nine in in Central America right now, isn't even starting. It's kind of like, ooh, and not to say it, not to get back to Costa Rica, but I think he had a rough tournament, man. I have to say. Now, obviously, it was against the likes of Brazil and Colombia.
I think he was always due for not a great one just because of the game plan going into that. I think it was a game plan where, look, he's not going to get service. You just got to be up top and put pressure on the center backs and defensive mids. I think it was one of those tournaments I didn't expect a lot from him. I would have loved to see him in that Paraguay game because I think that was a game he would have shined because that's a game where he's built for it. Like there was a lot of creativity going on, a lot of you put him in there instead of Contreras, like I think it would have been a lot. It probably would have been worse than 2-1 to be because he's a creator as well. But yeah, back to Paraguay though.
Yeah. Like you said, I think Paraguay I think honestly, it's an F for me just because this is a team that has hopes and aspirations, like a lot of other teams in CONMEBOL, to go to the World Cup. I think there's only realistically one nation right now, maybe two. You can maybe throw Peru in there with Bolivia. But this is a team that's genuinely looking at it with this expanded format of 6 teams automatically qualifying in the 7th place going to the playoff final, the playoff route. Paraguay's looking at this saying we can be one of those teams. And if not, we'll take the playoff route and we'll go qualify that way to the World Cup. So this is a team, they got to get their shit together because if they don't, realistically, Chile, I believe, will beat them some way, somehow. And maybe Peru. I don't know, but we got to see. Like I said, I think honestly, just overall really disappointing from them because it was just not something that Paraguayans can really even look at. Very similar to almost like a Mexico way of say, we didn't learn anything at all. If anything, we have a lot more doubts. We have a lot of doubts of can this guy play? Can that guy play? And also Gustavo Gomez, I don't know if there was something going on. Why the hell is he not starting in the center back position? I don't get that at all. There had to be something
Gustavo
off
Gomez?
the field. Maybe something going off on the field, off the field.
Probably their best, most consistent player currently. Like, I mean,
he's one of the best center backs. Yeah, I would say one of the best CBs that play in CONMEBOL, like in the leagues of CONMEBOL.
Yeah,
he's arguably
captain
one of the best
Palmeiras.
ones.
Like, come on, like, literally.
And he can't even play with Paraguay. I don't know what that was about, like I said, but it's an F for me with Paraguay.
Yeah, and I just want to say to you Paraguayans out there, if you take my coach, my villain arc will start. I will hate you guys more than Panama. And I do not like Panama. Ask Will.
That's saying something. That's saying something, y'all. Y'all don't want to be on that list.
You guys set us back in any way because you guys are a bunch of pansies and are going to take the person who beat you like some KD shit, like no. My villain arc will start, and I will forever hate watch you guys long past that when that man's dead. I will. It's not settled yet. He hasn't spoken about it, and he did just go back to Costa Rica for a meeting, and then he left to go do another family thing or his break or whatever. But yeah, I mean the saga will continue. He's obviously interested in it in some way, shape, or form because he didn't just flat out say no. Yeah. But if you guys take our coach, my villain arc will start, and we will go take Thomas Christensen, and we will go beat you. Bro, he would never be able to set foot in Panama if we took him. Could you imagine?
Dude, honestly, I don't even think the hate against Tomas. I think we would close the border with Costa Rica. We would just shut down the border.
Put a wall.
Yeah, no more. You guys aren't allowed to come in. None of that. Yeah, it's over. But
all right. Man. But we'll call it a wrap there, guys. Pretty much went through every group and every team and gave our grades. We're going to do some Olympic stuff here soon, so be on the lookout for that. We're both really excited to watch some Olympics and see how that goes. So, yeah.
CONCACAF U20. We saw y'all, man. We saw your comments, so we're getting on that.
That as well. We'll probably do like a short video on that as well. We want to start implementing little short stuff in between full-length episodes and stuff we might want to like cover that maybe don't make it to the full-length pod. But, yeah, man. Any final thoughts?
Nothing too big, like you said. I'm excited, Julian. I have to say, Copa America. We're going to talk about Euros as well, like you were saying, future pods. But, man, I'm excited for world football. I'm excited to get back to club football. Leagues Cup's coming up. Obviously, the Olympics and whatnot. But it's a good time right now to be alive and be watching some soccer, man, with the guys. So I'm excited.
All right, guys. Well, you know where to find the podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. Also on YouTube. Follow us on all social medias. And, yeah, we will catch you guys in the next one. See you.
All right.